Vegas rolled out 9.5 wins for the Lions.
You think that's fair? You think that's right where they should be?
I think it's a fair number.
Before we get to it.
I think it's a fair number.
Yeah, because
to set it at 10.5, just my opinion, they're going to have an influx of high-stake betting either way. They could have done this either way, and they would have been fucked. The Lions are one of the worst teams to set this number for. Because if you set it too high, everybody goes under. You can't set it at 10.5, or excuse me, 11.5. And you can't set it too low at 8.5. Right? Everybody would jump on the under and over. So at 9.5, I would expect 80-90% of the public to go over for the Lions. I think they are a game better. Yes, I do. Everybody will take the over. But if they set it at 10.5, everybody would take the under, and I would say it would flip. To me, the Lions next year, 10-7, 11-6, 10 wins is the floor. To me,
I would agree.
To me, 10 wins would be, man, you guys made a lot of mistakes. How'd you not win more games? But moving past that, I think everybody's going to hit the over this year. I'm not going to sit up here and say, refinance your house and throw all the money on the over. I've seen crazier shit happen in the NFL, but 9.5, I think it's a fair number. I think it protects them because we have to also remember, yes, the NFC is what it is. The schedule is a bit tricky this year. They do play some very good teams at home and on the road. The road schedule is tough.
It is.
10-7, winning the North, very doable to me. 11-6 sounds more realistic, but 10-7 to me wins the North. Vegas, again, last year, I think the over-under was 7.5 or 6.5?
6.5, yeah.
6.5. Expected. They were a 3-win team the year before. You got to get in early and buy them cheap at 6.5. It ended up paying off very well. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the over, and 92% of you would agree.
Yeah, it's easy. You take the over. And that's why I asked you, do you think it's too low? Which I don't want to sit here and say it should be 10.5, 11.5, whatever. But you have to, I mean, if you win 9 games this year and Jared's healthy, you got better defensively. We still haven't got to the draft. We don't know who they're going to add. They have to win at least 10 games. I think that's fair. So I think if you put the number at 10.5, you're probably, it's a harder decision to make. Do you think they'll win 10 games? Do you think they'll win 11? But since it's at 9.5, I don't think there's any debate. And that's why 93% would agree. To me, I don't want to say it'd be failure, but it'd be disappointing if you win 9 games this year. You might be able to sneak into the playoffs in the NFC, but if you're talking about having you're a divisional favorite in the NFC North. To me, you ain't winning the division with 9 wins. So you got to win 10, 11, 12 games, which I think the Lions will do that. And I'm seeing a lot of people put their record predictions. I'm seeing a lot of double-digit wins, and I think rightfully so. So to me, 9.5.
I think it's the right number.
I think it's the right number, but there's the people who are hurting the over or the under on this. I think I don't know. You must know something I don't know. There's no reason this team should win 9 games.
Well, I'll tell you a reason. They fire their coach if they win less than 9 games.
With a better roster, and they started 1-6 and still won 9. So if you start better, there's no reason why you shouldn't win. I know every year in the NFL is different. That's why we love the NFL. But there's no question.
Look, I get Vegas setting it at 9.5. They'll probably get the most action. I think they could have probably got the same action. No, they couldn't have. See, if they set it at 10.5.
Now that makes you think.
I think everybody takes the under.
Well, that makes you think a little more.
See, everybody in Detroit's going to say, oh, my God, over, easy. But you would be surprised nationally how many people would say 9.5 for the Lions. 9-8 last year. They'll finish 9-8 this year. They'll go under. I'll take that bet. I have to bet on the Lions winning 10 games. To me, that's a friendly bet both ways. I think it's a very good bet. Vegas did a good job with this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They really did. I've got no problem with it at all.
But how many wins you think they need to win the North is probably the right question.
10 wins the North.
You think 10 will win it?
Yeah, Packers nothing, Bears nothing.
You don't think the
Vikings, I think, could go 10-7.
Okay.
But everything would have to go right just like last year. And they're not any better on defense. They have no money to spend. I don't love what's going on with Minnesota.
They did hire Brian Flores, so I think they did get better just by default, getting Brian. But you're right. I think 10, 11 wins could win the division, but I think Minnesota, they're built to win another double-digit wins. Not saying – I'm still going to say they're frauds. I'll always say that about the Vikings, but they won 13 last year. There's no reason why the Vikings can't win 10 games. So
to me, the Vikings are lucky if they win 9.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah, like 9, I would be impressed.
Wow. And you were high on the Vikings even before the season last year.
The roster is garbage.
Garbage?
The defense is garbage.
Well,
they have Justin Jefferson,
yeah,
Dalvin Cook, and Kirk Cousins on offense. An okay offensive line. And who's their number 2 receiver? Because it ain't Adam Thielen anymore.
Well, now it's like It's T.J. Hawkinson, technically. He's
and good luck paying him.
Yeah, and they have
you
KJ
still don't
Osborne.
have money.
So it is what it is. Luke G says, Jeff and Adam, the real question is, will you actually bet the over and for how much?
I'm probably going to bet the over at $2,000.
Oh, you're all in.
I think that's what I'm going to do this year.
I mean, 9.5.
I think 2,000 on the over.
If it's 9.5, I agree. Like, there's no reason this team should win any less than 10 games.
Look, if there's a
barring
sports
injury
book that wants to offer me 8.5 at different odds, I'll take it maybe and put maybe more money. But look, last year it was easy for me to throw money at 6.5. Right? I told you they'd win 7 games. They ended up winning 9. To say they're going to win 10 games this year, I think is very real. And I'm not going to sit here and be scared because the Lions just haven't done it before. I've never seen a roster be assembled like this in my life. Even when they were kind of decent with Schwartz and Caldwell for those 2 years. Never seen this before. To me, it's a smart bet to take the over. I don't blame you for taking the under. But for me, I'm looking at 2,000 for the over. That's what I'm going to do this year.
And that's even with the schedule. I mean, you talk about the tough schedule, playing on the road, and then you play Kansas City. But still, again, there's no reason. Like, if the roster last year, starting 1-6, all the injuries they endured, and you won 9 games, this season, by default, you got better in free agency, you address positions in need, you still have the draft, you have, 4 picks in the top 80, whatever, 55, whatever it is, they're going to get better. And players by default from last year will get better because they're going from rookies to their second year. A lot of things are going to get better. So to me, the Lions, this should be an easy one. They should win 10 games. At least the expectation should be there.
Here's what the Lions do. They play the second place team from the West, the NFC West, the NFC East, and the AFC North.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got the AFC West and the NFC South as their divisional rotations this year, which means the Lions will play and host the Packers, the Bears, the Minnesota Vikings, of course, and at home will play Atlanta. I would say a win.
Yeah.
Carolina, should avenge and win.
Yeah.
Denver, I would say a win. Vegas, a win. Seattle, very winnable.
Yeah, they're all winnable games.
I think 7. Let me read this correctly. I think 7-1 is probably the best you can do at home. 6-2 wouldn't surprise me. But let's say 6-2, worst case scenario at home. Okay. On the road, can they beat Green Bay on the road? Yeah.
Yes.
Can they beat Chicago on the road? Yeah.
Yes.
Minnesota? Yeah.
Yes.
Kansas City? No. The Chargers? That's going to be a tough
it's a toss
bet.
up. Yeah.
New Orleans? New Orleans, tough place to play.
It's another tough one.
Tampa Bay, I would say yes. So that's already 9-10 wins. That's 10 wins exactly, actually. Dallas, I'm not scared of Dallas. And Baltimore, no Lamar Jackson? Yeah, I'll take my chances. Look, it's a tough schedule, don't get me wrong. But you're talking 6-2 at home. And
And this is
5-4 or 4-5 on the road. I think that's very doable.
And I got to address this. Luke G says, you believe we beat the Panthers after what they did to us last year, LOL, and they have a better head coach. Luke, you do realize the Lions roster...
I don't think that's the real Luke, is it?
Regardless.
I think there was a fake one yesterday, too.
You do realize the Lions roster got better.
Wait. Frank Reich is a better head coach than Dan Campbell? What the fuck is that? Sorry, that just registered in my head.
Well, I think you meant better.
When the fuck is that true?
I think better than Steve Wilkes. Better head coach, meaning like they beat us last year with Steve Wilkes. Now they have Frank Reich. I think that's what he meant. But regardless, the Lions They rolled out with Bugs, Deshaun Elliott. I mean, you got C.J. Gardner instead of Deshaun. You got, hopefully, we'll see, maybe Jalen Carter, some additions they made in free agency. Comparing last year to this year to me is just, you can't do that.
I don't know. Honestly, you know what I think of this fan base right now? And it's not all of you. For those of you that are willing to take a chance and put your arms around this team, I respect it. Thank you very much. As you should. They've done nothing but give you reasons to put your arms around them. For all of you being a bunch of pussies that want to complain about last year or losses with last year and not address the idea that Cam Sutton, Gardner Johnson alone is a significant upgrade, and that you still have the 6th and 18th overall pick, and that you don't want to acknowledge you're still going to have a top 10 offense next year, and that if you somewhat get close to having a top 15 defense, we know that Jared Goff goes 8-2 down the stretch when you give him a top 15 defense in terms of pass rush.
Listen, Panthers, they got better. The Lions also got better.
How did the Panthers get better? How?
Well, they made some moves.
How?
Well,
they lost DJ Moore.
They lost DJ Moore.
Okay.
They got Chark, Thielen,
Wow.
Hayden Hurst,
Wow.
Miles Sanders.
Wow.
They added Von Bell.
Wow, I didn't know paying running backs is how you win in the NFL.
Here we go. Still,
And they're going to have
players.
a rookie quarterback.
And they're going to have a rookie quarterback,
and a
which is true. But they also
that has a losing track record.
They have a good defense, but we'll see.
Whose defense is better?
And that Carolina game,
Whose defense is better? Let's go positional.
I would say
secondary, Lions.
Really? J.C. Horn, Jeremy Chin.
J.C. Horn, special. Gardner Johnson and him negate each other, in my opinion. I think they're one and the same.
Okay, well, the secondary is close. Defensive line, I would say
Lions.
Panthers. What? Brian Burns, Derek Brown?
I consider him outside linebacker who plays on the edge. That's fair. Fine, fine. I'll give you that one. Fine.
But regardless, Lions defense got better.
It's not the gap that it was last year, though. Last year, there was the Panthers defense and the Lions were down here. If you want to tell me the Panthers are still better than the Lions on defense, fine. But it's like this.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's almost neck and neck.
Last year, it was a significant difference. I mean,
if you guys want to be pessimistic on the Lions, be my guest. All I know is if they can't win 9 games, let alone 10, you got to be questioning the head coach.
Yeah, that's a disappointment.
Unreal.
If you win 9 games with a better roster, that's a disappointment.
A better roster, a better secondary. Yeah. Cameron Sutton, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Emmanuel Mosley, Kirby Joseph, returning Tracy Walker.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Tracy's coming back. Great point. He wasn't there last year.
You're going to bring back some of the guys that are good for rotational pieces on the defensive line. You're probably going to draft a defensive lineman in the first round. You have 2 second-round picks. Do you move back into the... I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is there are no excuses this year. You don't get to improve your roster that much and play in the NFC North right now, in the state that it's in, and tell me that 10 wins is a stretch. Fuck you.
Wait, I love this one. Simo says, you act like we signed the best free agent available. Hold on. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, correct me if I'm wrong. Was he one of the best free agents available?
No, he's actually a fucking shit on. Moving on.
I guess he was.
We got to go to break.